This just in. John has popcorn in his mouth. So if John starts
Choking.
choking, yeah, if John starts choking a little bit, it's because he just had some popcorn.
It's like stuck.
Was it like is it like that there's so many new flavors of popcorn at the moment. Is that like sweet and salty one? Or
The lightly salted, the lightly salted one. And
lightly salted.
it's like, I don't know what you call that brown thing stuck in the middle of my throat.
Yeah, like the kernel.
And it just can't get out. So I've been drinking, I've already drank 5 of these, and it's still there.
So if John might have bathroom breaks during this. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us again. If you've seen our other live streams, if not, for the first time, welcome. Before we kick off, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're all gathering, and the lands that you're gathering on at home or wherever you are. We are currently on the lands of the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nations, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and any that might be here with us today. As storytellers, as artists, as learners, it really is a privilege to be able to tell stories, to be able to make art and discuss art, and to learn or teach on this land that has such a rich and deep culture of storytelling, of creating art, of teaching and knowing and learning. On this land where sovereignty was never ceded, on this land that is stolen, on this land that always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Would anyone like to add?
No.
No worries.
All good.
Welcome to Western Edge's live streams. My name is John Marc. I'm going to look at that camera. Welcome. Welcome again. My name is John Marc Desengano. I am the co-artistic director of Western Edge alongside Shanella McCree and Stephen Nicolazzo. My pronouns are he, him. And I'm joined today with Amarachi Okorom and John Brown. And we're going to talk today, have a real casual chat for roughly an hour about making art in the community. Yeah. Maybe, Amarachi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Amarachi Okorom, and my pronouns are she, her, and I am the artistic associate at Western Edge. But I also started off as a participant in Wyndham Edge back in 2017, and then I became a support artist and worked my way up, and now I'm working in the office core team. Yeah, so pretty fun. Also an actor, also a writer, and passing it on to you.
Nice. Hey everyone, my name is John Brown. I started my journey in 2018 in the Edge Ensemble, and we did a show called Lele Butterfly. And from there we put on the show in 2018, and then we had the COVID break. It was a little break.
Just a little one.
Small break. And then coming today, we had our show, which is Distortion. And
so you came back and participated in the Edge Ensembles again this year.
Yes.
Which Edge Ensemble are you part of?
I currently was going to 2. I was going to St. Albans and Footscray. Yeah, because that's...
do you want to this is going to be like a cheeky little plug for Distortion, because we're in the middle of the season at the moment. We've got one show left at St. Albans at the Bowery this Saturday at 7 o'clock. Tickets are $5. We might even post a link in the chat. But the last 2 shows, we went to Footscray last Saturday and then Wyndham Cultural Centre the Saturday before. Last Saturday was sold out. It was a party. Do you want to tell us a bit about the show and a bit about your character?
The show's the show is to do with time traveling. It's like multiverse and different eras of time, and so each ensemble, the St. Albans and Footscray edges, and also the Wyndhamville edges, they all came up with their stories, and so together we came and put a show together which everyone focuses on different time, And yeah, my end focus is, should I tell them what?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, you should come see it, but also
You should come see it, but like,
tease them a little bit.
I won't. Yeah. You'll come see this young, beautiful knight, like a beast slayer, demon slayer. Yeah, I mean, I won't say too much about it, but like, yeah, you just see me throwing this sword around. But nah, it's really cool, and I reckon everyone will love it. Everyone who's seen it already, like, completely loves it, and it's definitely something different, and yeah, it's exciting, and it's what's the word? Just live action, which is crazy to see. You have the cinemas, everyone say, yo, crazy action. I'm like, but here, the sword might even pass your face like this. I don't know. If I see you, just throw the sword.
And you're right, it's live. Like, we are in the theater, and the audience is there, and they add so much to it, right? Like, you're right, it's not like going to the movies. This is live theater. The community is in the house on seats. They're oohing, they're ahhing. There was like a few boos on Saturday night for for between Zach and Benji. That the two brothers had a little argument, and the audience got into it. That's what we do. That's like community coming together, right? But yeah, you were talking about how, like, it's different to cinema. It's different to
100% different. When you're there, it's just like when he said debut, like, they were so into the characters that they felt love for one character and they hated the other character. And so when something went a certain way, they were there like booing, and then another one they're laughing, another one they're like, yo, that's what we want, you know. And when I got on, they're like, oh, yo, that's what we want.
How does it feel for you when you feel that interaction with, and yourself too, Amarachi? I mean, we're all actors here, we're all performers, but like being live with community, with a live audience, and feeding that energy, because during rehearsals, you know, you never had that kind of interaction with the audience. All of a sudden, we throw you into, 170 people on Saturday night. I mean, a lot of it was your family.
Yeah.
And they're buck wild. So
a lot of us family, and I think that's the beautiful thing about live theater is you get to have your family there. Everyone you know, people you know are there, and the beautiful thing about it is you get to show them a side of you that either they've never seen before, or you probably find something out about yourself that you never knew before. When you put me in that place, because you put me there.
So I did.
I was forced. But nah, like, every time I'm come out and I see like the audience, it's a way different feeling when you're doing rehearsals and stuff. It's just it's an exciting feeling, and I think the greatest thing about it is because we feed off the audience's energy. And the Saturday that just gone by, it was so crazy. The minute I hopped out, I haven't even started swinging my sword. Everyone's like, woo, like going crazy. I was like, oh, I was just trying to stand it. Woo, yo, I'm here. Yeah. But like, and so when energy's there, it's just everyone can feel it. And sometimes you don't have to say anything. Sometimes you just feel the hype from everyone. And I think that's the thing about live theater that you will never find in movies and stuff like that. And the feeling, we might be acting like, but the audience feels it as well. And so it's a crazy thing to always. That's why I enjoy performing in front of everyone. And it's always a fun thing to do. That's
100%. I mean, that's the reason I do it. That's the reason I love theater. I'm sure it's the same for you, Amarachi. And just for context, Western Edge is a not-for-profit arts organisation that provides free programs for young people all over the western suburbs. We do workshops, we do programs in schools, in community spaces, in hubs, all over the western suburbs, where young people are invited to come and encouraged to come and be themselves, and create art, tell their stories. Our motto is "Come as you are," and that's exactly what we do. And create and hang out with other people in the community, other young people who want a space, a safe one that they can play in, and create. That's what we provide. So the program that John is talking about is our Edge Ensemble program, which is our community youth theatre program, where again, we've got an Edge Ensemble in Wyndham, an Edge Ensemble in Footscray, and an Edge Ensemble in St. Albans. And then each Edge Ensemble with some lead artists and support artists they make their own show, and it's very much led by the participants. You know, John, you wanted to do some like action stuff, some fantasy stuff. He fights a beast or a dragon or something. And then that show, all 3 Edge ensembles have their own show. And then somehow, through some sporadic group rehearsals, we bring them all together and we make some epic piece that usually should not go together, but for some reason it does. And then we put it on and we perform it in Wyndham, in Footscray, in St. Albans. So please, we got one left in St. Albans. Come this Saturday night. Yeah, you gonna say something?
Oh yeah, no, I just want to add to that. Probably should have mentioned in my introduction, but we got time.
We got time.
I think the other thing I want to add in is like, you know, you get to meet all sorts, like, you know, different people. It's really multicultural, and I think the amazing thing about it is the ideas that everyone comes up with. And a lot of times I'll have one idea. I'll be like, there's one idea I just want to share with everyone was Godzilla versus Kong idea. I was so set in stone with this idea.
That was from day one. I remember you bringing that up too. That was day one.
From day one, we were, you know, like thinking of these ideas on the vision board, like what people think we should do or what people want to do. And what I wanted to explore was Kong versus Godzilla. I was so set in stone with that idea. I was like, nah, not changing my idea at all. I was like, that must be done. I just wanted to showcase something of what could have been a relationship, you know, between Kong and Godzilla. But like, yeah.
like a romantic relationship, or like
after their movie, they had Kong vs. Godzilla. So that movie, I wanted to create after, like, what happens afterwards, like do maybe a romance one,
sequel or something.
Yeah, but that's something I wanted to look into. But like I completely sensed with this idea, and then as we, you know, collabed with everyone in each of our Edge ensembles, everyone came up with these different ideas of what they wanted to do, and along the way, I thought of these other ideas, and I think that's the beauty of working together with other people is you think of different avenues that, you know, just different stories that you might want to share with someone. Maybe you realize you come up with better ideas or better ways to be able to send a message to someone in some way. Now, in some way, someone could have gotten a message of, oh, mate, this guy's slaying people's necks. But in other ways, there's something else in the show that you're going to discover. And I think that's the beautiful part why you should come watch and see for yourself, because I don't want to spoil it for you. But yeah, I think collaborating with everyone is like one of the greatest things to do, and to meet new people, you know, and to, just to be able to make new friends across the board. I know my first time in 2018 of doing Lele Butterfly, I met some new friends that have become my long lifetime friends. Well, I don't know if I'm their friend, but they're still on my contacts. So I mean, maybe I'm calling, I'm like, yo, and they're probably like, oh. But, you know, to me, they're great friends. And I think, I hope everyone feels that way. Otherwise, they were like, it's John, man. So he's calling again. It's just one show. No? That was the only thing I was going to add.
And, I mean, you also did Lele Butterfly in 2018?
Yes,
right?
2018.
2018, that was through Edge Ensembles. Amarachi, you did The Watching in 2019 as well. So you're again, as Amarachi mentioned earlier on, your growth within the company has been pretty incredible, right? Like, so you started, when did you start?
I started in 2017.
2017. Right. And then what show did you do around then?
In 2017, I did a show called At First Glance, directed by Natalie Lucy.
Oh, right. Amazing.
Yeah. She's my lead artist, and I love her. Love you, Nat.
Nat was actually supposed to be here tonight, but is feeling quite sick at the moment. So give her a pass. Man. Take the night off. And then you did The Watching. The Watching was the first show, my first experience with Western Edge as well. I used to be a lead artist in this program. I mean, yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. But there's something about Western Edge's rooms that just hits different to me as an artist, as a person, as a first generation immigrant. These rooms just kind of feel different to me, and there's this sense of community that made me want to continue to be here and then, become co-artistic director. So your growth, and you've been here a lot longer than I have, as a participant, then moving into a support artist, at times being a lead artist, and then and now being part of the core staff as an artistic associate. Like, what's that journey been like, and why, at the end of the day, like, why Western Edge? Why community? Because you're also working at the Malt House, you're also working in some big companies. You've had as a writer, had works at Griffin, had works at all overseas as well. But for some reason you keep coming back to the Western suburbs. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I always say this every time people ask me about my journey with Western Edge. And because I grew up in New Zealand, grew up in Auckland, and I found my love for drama and for theatre in New Zealand, and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But then when I got here in 2013, I didn't have the best experience in my drama class in high school, and I told myself, I'm never doing it again. I'm quitting. That's it. Like, I hate acting. And yeah, it was like 2016, and I did a spoken word for my church, and someone approached me and was like, do you want to come join this company? Like, it's Western Edge, and it's like, they do like theater stuff. And I was like, oh, whatever, okay, I'll come. And I came, and I remember before going to those rooms, I was like, if I go into this room and it doesn't feel like how I felt in New Zealand, I'm not coming back. And I remember going in, and I was just like because I'm very shy, very awkward. And I was like, oh, this is going to be the worst. Everyone's going to hate me. Everyone's going to think I have no experience. And then I walked in, and I met Nat, and I met a bunch of other cool participants. And it felt like I was at home again. And for the first time in like 4 years of being in this country, it was the first time I felt like I was at home, and I actually found a place where I could be myself. And since then, I'd never missed a session, and I was like, this is where I want to be. Like, and it wasn't because of like the fact that I could act. It was the fact that I had a place I could go to and chill out with friends for 2 hours a week. That was the best thing for me. Like, the show was great, the show was fun, but it was every week on a Wednesday from 5 to 7, meeting up with people and just like, it's like having the best time and just like interacting. And that to me is why I keep coming back to Western Edge, because it's just, yeah, like you said, like, community just hits different, especially when you feel like you don't have anyone around you. And like, yeah, I have like my parents and my sisters, but like, you kind of need people around you to bring you up and make you feel at home. And Penny always says, like, you need to find your tribe. And I feel like I really found my tribe with Western Edge. Like, anytime I go anywhere, I'm always like reaching out to all the friends and like the family I've built here and I've connected with here. And I don't think that's ever going to leave. And I think that's why community is so important, because it's not about what you can gain from each other. It's about how you make each other feel. And that's what's important to me. Like, it's not about like, yeah, I'm gonna go talk to John Marc because he'll get me into the biggest rooms. I don't care about that. I care that I can call you up any day and we can have a chat like mates. And that's important to me. And that's why community theater is the best.
Yeah, I love what you said. There's, it's not about what we can get from each other. And at Western Edge, something that's very much part of my practice as an improviser is we make each other look good. And that's kind of a culture that we breed here at Western Edge, which didn't take long because we were all kind of already doing it, right? But that whole notion of like, it's not about us. It's about like, we are here to support each other and make each other look good. And I say this a lot. It's when we kind of focus on making each other look good, then we never have to worry about us. Because if I'm focused on making you look good, and you're focused on making everyone else look good, then someone in the room is making me look good. And that's the world that I want to live in. And that's honestly the rooms that Western Edge, I think, provides that. And it's kind of unspoken, right? We have different opinions artistically and creatively. Like you said, someone wants to do Godzilla versus King Kong. Someone else wants to do, a little family tussle in a record store or something like that, But how we navigate that and how we talk about that, negotiate that, I think is a special kind of collaboration. I think it's a special kind of respect. And we really focus on making each other look good. And that kind of fosters community, I think.
I just want to add, I think the other greatest thing about it is there's no judgment at all. When I said I was attending the Footscray and also the St. Albans Edge, I didn't attend to just to look good or to even just to understand the story we're trying to do. I just loved being there. And one thing I noticed, well, it's something that the culture we built within Western Edge and that they do all the time is what they call check-ins. And the beautiful thing about check-ins is each individual gets to share how their day is going, or we'd have a question like, what's a random one you was thinking, like, what kind of fruit are you today?
My favorite is what's your favorite way to eat a potato? And if you want to hit up in the chat what your favorite ways to eat a potato is, feel free to go for it.
And so random questions, and then each individual would, who's attended that night would, either answer that question and then also talk about how they feel or something in the past or something in the future, whatever it is. And the thing about it is whatever happens in those, Edge ensembles, or in those, rehearsal rooms, it stays in there. And there's no judgment in the things you do and the stories each person brings. I think the crazy part is everyone has a story to tell. And I know for a fact everyone loves a story. Whether you read a book, whether you watch anime, whether you watch movies, but everyone enjoys a story. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing I love about live theater is when you collaborate, you can actually express your story, and it's the best way to feel that message. If you have a message you want to send out, or you're just there to be a tree. So, and I think the other greatest part is you don't even have to be an actor to be within, live theater. I know when we did Lily Butterfly in 2018, there was we had one of the cast members who, each person has weaknesses. Some people don't project loud. Some people don't, are not good with accents. That's myself. I'm not great with accents, And some people have weaknesses. And I think the great thing about it is we all work together to be able to help each other with those weaknesses.
Make each other look good.
And the best thing about it is we would give, I always tell this to all my families, and friends, because I always invite them, hey, come join. And some will be like, yeah, I don't mind. I can be a tree. They always say tree. I don't know why. It's always tree. It's like I can be a stool or something.
You're not a real actor until you've been a tree. That's
You've been a tree?
You're a real actor.
Yeah, trees. Cut them down. Nah, anyway. But everyone can play a role within theater. Whether you're an actor or not, you don't have to be an actor. You can do something. And the thing about community theater, or at least here at Western Edge, everyone can play a part or a role in it. Even if you're not even in the show in the lights, you can have a role. And so I think the best thing about that is you will always feel like you belong within this community. We make you feel like you belong. And everyone within those check-ins we have feels like their story's safe with each other. And it's a space where they can actually let things that they can't tell others within those edges. I know I've shared some things, and it's always stayed in that room. No one else knows about it, unless they're texting each other. It's like, did you hear about
If
John?
You know what it is, put it in the chat. Feel free to comment with all the secrets about John Brown.
So, Penny, keep that to yourself. Clarice, keep it to yourself. Video and Yao, don't tell them what I did. And that's one of the greatest things for me is I love collaborating. And, sorry taking too long.
No, you keep going.
It's fun because for me, theater is it's games and having fun. We play games. People don't know that. People think that because I tell my family I'm going to rehearsals and they just think it's like training at a sports club, but it's not. It's just we literally just play games.
Because it can be both. Right?
Yeah.
The games that we choose to play, and that's what I love about the lead artists that we have and the rooms that we create. A lot of our lead artists, especially this year, have come through the program before, right? So 4 of the 5 lead artists were previously participants. We're in Lele, or we're in the watching, and now they're the rightful leaders of these rooms. But because of the culture that we've created within Western Edge and within our community, they the games that they play are the games that they found beneficial, but they're also games that kind of help us get what we want out of the scenes we're trying to make, out of the plays we're trying to make. Like, they're very strategic and tactical, but they're fun because you can do both.
100%. And yeah, who doesn't want to have fun?
That's the most important part, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, when it comes to us, like, let's, and we talk about, this whole chat's supposed to be about community theatre. And there's this whole notion of like, there's community theatre versus professional theatre. What's the difference? What's the outcomes? Obviously, professional theatre should be better and blah, blah, blah. So why should people go out and participate in community theatre? Or why should they go and watch and support community theatre when, you can go to Melbourne Theatre Company or to the MTC and see incredible actors who are respectfully incredible actors and have really honed their craft. But why would you come to community theatre, right? Let's put that question out there. So why community theatre? Why would you do all community art?
Because it's fun and it feels accessible and it feels safe. And not like, and when I say safe, I don't mean like professional theater isn't safe. Like, I go and I'm like, oh my God, like someone's gonna come out and grab me. No. But like, it just feels like whenever I go see a community, that's the thing. I feel like community theater has such a negative connotation, but it's actually good. Like, it's actually a good thing, because like a lot of mainstream theater companies want what community theater has, and that's like when I saw Distortion on opening night, it was loud, and like people felt like they could be loud.
It was a party. And I'm like, this is what theater is. Like, theater is, I'm allowed to come and be myself in these theater spaces. I don't have to leave my loudness at the door when I walk in. I can come, and if I find something funny, I'm going to laugh so loud. I'm going to laugh obnoxiously loud, and that's okay. But like when you go into these professional spaces, you kind of feel like you have to put on this like professionalism, and like feel like you have to just like watch everyone around you. And I don't get that when I go to community theater. I feel at ease. And I always say to people, I'm like, if I can bring my parents to a show and they feel comfortable, then we've done our jobs. So every time I come see a show, I'm like, my parents would love that. My parents would get that. My parents would feel comfortable, because they're loud and they don't care. And I don't want them to go into a space where they feel embarrassed to be themselves, because that's not what theater should be.
Yeah.
Theater should be loud.
It should be accessible.
It should be accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I go back to community theater, because I'm allowed to just have fun. Because theater's meant to be fun. Like, you're not meant to just be brooding the whole time.
As someone once said, it's called a play, not a serious. So that's a good one. Thanks, Nathan Burmeister, who's actually our costume and set designer for Distortion.
What's the question again?
Why community theatre?
Why community theatre? To me, before I even got into Western Edge and in 2018, what I saw live theatre or plays, when someone mentioned it, because I have a older cousin who's part of Western Edge way before, I got into it. And I always thought of it as, when we watch the movies, you can't, I thought there's no avenue to doing a play unless you're, professional like that. The celebrities that we all know, or whoever your celebrities, that's how I always saw, live theatre. Until one day my cousin texted me and said, hey, you want to join a play? And I was like, oh, what course do I have to take? That was my question. I was like, what course do I have to take? And he's like, no,
that's interesting.
He just come join and collab with us. I was like, oh, interesting. So then I went with my sister and we entered the space, which they call the, Edge Ensembles. And we did a check-in, as I mentioned. And from there, we made a beautiful play that we performed in 2018. And so what I look at live theatre or community theatre is, and I think this goes out to a lot of our island community out there as well, is I compare it between street food and
Oh, that's really good.
Fancy food.
That's a very good comparison.
And so like everyone knows you can't go wrong with street food, you know. And on top of that, when you enter street food, everyone knows each other within there. Either the shop people, the owners and stuff know their customers, and the customers know their shop owners, and they know their regulars. And that feeling of being like you belong there and you just know is such a great feeling. Whereas you go to a fancy restaurant, no one knows nobody. You're private. You do your own thing. It's all you. Go get your food, get out. You could be mean, I don't know. It's just you don't know nobody. And the other comparison I like to make is we have what we call social volleyball, which every single islander knows of. And I am like a part of that community. And I go there because I love collaborating with, you know, or people that I meet there. And it's just you pay your money and you play volleyball all night. I see community theater just like that. You just come and you have fun. But where you pay $2, you don't really pay anything here. Well, at least I haven't paid anything. I mean, I haven't paid anything.
Our programs are free.
And so, yeah, the programs are free. And so, like, it's just a place where you are with normal people that you know, it's not the celebrities that you were thinking of. It's just people around within your community. It could be someone next door, you know, and you're just, having fun with everyone.
And we want to say, like, you know, I'm a professional performer. And I've done shows at the Moat House. Amarachi is also a professional performer and writer. We've got nothing against professional theatre, but there's just something about community theatre that hits different. I think what we're trying to say here is that, you know, it has a place. Like it has its place, and arguably, more importantly, it has its place in community. And there's a large reason about why we do it, and it's for all the reasons we've talked about. I think there's plenty more as well. But we're not trying to say that, you know, community theatre is better than professional theatre or whatever. They're two different beasts. Also, a lot of our artists, John was talking about his cousin, Michael Longo, and a lot of the other artists that have come through Western Edge have professional careers. They're quite successful, and they're, you know, but this is that kind of avenue. A lot of them tested it out here. And I think that's another thing that community theatre or art in the community provides. It's this, we talked about it before, it's accessibility. You know, there's not a lot of professional work or professional theatres that are outside of the CBD. And the western suburbs is vast. I mean, we're not even just talking about the west. I grew up in Dandenong. You know, there are all these theatres out there. But I remember applying for drama school, and I had to audition for it. I auditioned. My audition was good, and they wanted me in. And then we had an interview, and one of the things they said was, "Well, tell me about a professional show that you've seen." Tell us about a professional show that you've seen. And I remember sitting there quite embarrassed, actually, and a bit dumbfounded because I was 18 years old and I'd never seen professional theatre. I knew that I wanted to be an actor, and I knew that I wanted to be in the theatre, but I'd never seen a professional show. Because when you live out in Dandenong or Melton or Caroline Springs or Wyndham Vale, you know, back then, when it was 18 years ago, it is 55 minutes to drive into the city, you know. And then theaters, shows cost, for me at the time, was about $50 a ticket. I couldn't drive, so my parents would have to drive me in. So my mum and my dad would have to come in. And my mum couldn't drive, my dad couldn't speak English, so they'd both have to come together to support me to go to the theatre. Now that's $150 already for, you know, a little Filipino family out in the southeastern suburbs. Also, traffic and parking. Parking is expensive in the city. So all of a sudden, $150 night turns into $180, $200, you know, and then we're getting home at 11:30 midnight. It's a big commitment, and like, as much as we talk about it, like it's just not that accessible. So having theatre in the community, and I like I wish I knew of spaces in the southeast suburbs when I was growing up where I could have access to that. I only found it through high school. I wish I had a community. I wish I had a place where I could just go and then try it and have fun and you know, be. For me, that had to be high school. And I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I'm where I am right now, but man, it was rough. And so, like, community theatre plays this very important part of making the arts accessible to marginalized communities outside of the CBD. And that's such an important thing, because you just wonder how many artists don't even know they are yet because they don't have that accessibility. True. You know? How many of, like we were saying yesterday, that when your family came to the show, you know, so many of this is the first time that they've ever been into a theater before, right? And they saw you. And now some of them are thinking about it. But this is accessibility. This is community. This is community talking to community and bringing them all together, right? I think there's also something really special about community theatre, because when we see theatre, when we go and see professional theatre, the stories that we're seeing, especially people like us, the stories that we're seeing on the stages don't necessarily reflect us or the societies that we are living in, right? So when, especially in a place, and I know that there are beautiful community theatre companies out there, something that Western Edge does is that you come as you are and you tell your stories, and we mean that wholeheartedly. So when we are telling stories in community, we are reflecting the societies that we are in, and we are reflecting the stories that we know, because we can only tell our own stories, right? Or maybe we do want to just like talk about Godzilla versus King Kong, right? Because we just want some fun, because man, life's hard, you know? The outer suburbs can get tricky, right? So community theatre for me is so important because it reflects the society that we live in. Art is supposed to reflect life. And so our art reflects the lives that we live and the problems that we face and the stories that we know and experience. They're not the stories that you're seeing on these main stages, or they're not the stories that you're seeing even on television. And that's why community theatre, especially for us, hits different. Yeah, sorry, I want a bit of a little passionate rant. You want to jump in? Yeah. I also do, like, I see you're about to say something. Do you have...
Oh, you can go first.
You were saying something before about the rooms in Western Edge and our community, that you feel safe and you feel at home. And I was talking to Chanel McCree, our co-artistic director, the other day, and we just have chats. We're two brown people that just love to chat. We're very close friends, and we were talking about why the Western Edge rooms feel different. And I don't think it's something that, like, a lot of people will ever really... A lot of people don't look like us will understand, right? Being in professional spaces within the theatre industry, or, you know, the entertainment industry in Melbourne, because that's all I know. There's something that feels different when you come into a Western Edge room, because I come in and then I see people like me who talk like me, who have fun with me, tell the same jokes as me. I let my guard down kind of almost instantly. Yeah. And it's not something that I realize, it's something that I have to reflect on, is that I walk in and there's this breath, this exhale, and the shoulders come down, and because people are talking my language, you know? And it's not that we're seeing each other in that way, or it's not that we're like, I'm looking at you and going, oh, you're black and brown like me, or whatever it is. It's not that. It's that we just feel it. You know, and it's not something that I can 100% put my finger on, but when I go into other spaces, usually are filled with, Anglo, Caucasian people, I still feel safe in a lot of them. I still feel like I can go in and, well educated, so I can hold my own in those spaces, and I find myself getting into those spaces quite frequently. But there is a little bit of me that again I have to reflect on. It must be, it's a survival instinct that I've just got to watch my back a little bit.
Yeah.
I've got to watch what I got to say a little bit.
Yeah.
I've got to change my language a little bit, you know, and it's that's something that, I mean, hopefully changes. I don't know, but that's why I'm at Western Edge, and that's why my heart will live in the theatre, but also in community theatre. Like sure. I mean, main stages hit me up, but like, there's the heart will stay in these rooms because my soul feels safe.
Yeah, I agree with that. And cause for me here, like being in Australia, Western Edge was the first proper thing I was proper like theater that I was exposed to, other than like drama class, and like I feel like coming in, like feeling like I like feeling comfortable. It also gave me like that sense of like everywhere is like that, and like because at the time I was like 19, young, and I was like, yeah, this is great. Like everywhere's gonna be like this in the industry. Like it's all good. And like I remember my first experience outside of Western Edge was terrible. Was completely terrible. And I remember after the show, I just like broke down in my car, and I was like, I never want to feel like this again. I never want to feel like I can't be who I am in a space. And I feel like because of that, like I go into spaces like feeling very, like you said, like guarded. And I feel like it's just like this coping mechanism now where it's like, I'm going to code switch. I'm going to like, my voice is going to go up a bit.
It's just instinct,
like,
isn't it?
And
Right?
it's like, hi, my name is Amarachi. And it just goes up, and it's just like, oh yeah, I can talk your language. Like, and it's funny because like, we're like trained to speak their language, but like they'll never speak ours. And we have
assimilation, right?
Yeah, and we have to go into spaces that people speak our language to feel safe. And yeah, for me, like that's Western Edge. That's coming into these spaces and feeling like I can just drop the fakeness. I can just drop the mask. I can just drop all of that, and I can like if I'm having a rough day, I can just say it. I can just come in and do that. Whereas like in other spaces, like if you're having a rough day, it could come across in like, it could be like misconstrued and like misunderstood, and then like you're suddenly blacklisted. But like in Western, I never fear that like people are gonna cut me off, or people are gonna be like, oh, Amarachi had that bad day. Like she's so hard to work with. Let's just like cut her off. Like she sucks. Get her out of these rooms. It's just like holding space, and that's what's important in community. Like you need these spaces where people can hold space for you, because like you said, life is hard, and like life is already hard for everyone, and then like add all like that other stuff into it. It's freaking hard.
Yeah. It's
hard to like just like walk down the street and like someone's just like calling you a racist slur, and like you have to come in to work and like be able to function.
Yeah. And sometimes it's definitely hard. Sometimes it's even when it's not hard, right? It's heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people, a lot of people understand like the weight. I think there's also, we're getting real political here, but like this whole thing of like when especially now and I feel this as co-artistic director of Western Edge, we represent, apparently I represent a lot of people who don't look like me, who do look like me, When I go into the industry, I represent a lot of people. That's a huge burden because, it is this whole thing of like, I have to be exceptional. Yeah. I have to be. Because if I'm not, then not only do you write me off, but you write off everyone else. And I don't know, like, some of you might be watching at home or wherever you are thinking that's not true. And it might not be anymore. I don't know. But you need to understand that this is the burden that we hold, right? And we mean community in all its aspects. But as part of that community, as someone who is part of that community, I feel the burden of representing everyone in the community. And that's a massive kind of pressure. It's heavy. It's just a heavy thing.
Yeah, and like, and it's funny because like you're not just an actor. You're always the Nigerian actor, or you're the black actor. But like in Western Edge, it's like I'm an actor. That's what I am. Like I can exist in these spaces with other people and just have that one. Like yeah, I rep my country, Nigeria till I die. But like I rep my country, but I can just be an actor. And
it's also that space where you could tell those stories, right?
Yeah.
And you could share those stories with people who want to listen.
Yeah.
And you know, and support that story. I cut you off. Was there anything else?
Oh no, I was just yeah, like we're just allowed to exist. And Lee said this beautifully a couple of years ago. She was like,
shout out to Lee Lule.
Oh, she said this beautiful thing, and it was just about how like diversity and representation isn't doing all these huge things. It's just like being allowed to just be yourself in a space. And that's the greatest form of representation. Like we don't have to put on a show that like tackles all these huge issues. We like us existing is enough. Is enough for people to be like, whoa, that's revolutionary. Like you can just like get on stage and just like stand there for 3 minutes and everyone's like, whoa, that's revolutionary. We have like a Nigerian actor on stage who's just saying nothing. That's huge. So yeah, like it's just
what does that mean?
Yeah, oh my God,
they're not saying anything. You're not saying anything in their culture. What does that mean?
What? You're not gonna sing and dance?
Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, just being allowed to just be yourself. And like you can come in and like Justin Bieber, like The Sims, like you can come in and have all of that. You're not just your skin color in these spaces, and that's important. Like I hate when people just get labeled as like you're this thing. And like, therefore, you're like everyone else. Like, you're Nigerian, therefore you like this and you like this. Like, no, I actually don't like that.
It's more complex than that.
Yeah, like there's layers. There's nuance and like layers and stuff.
Yeah, which is why the check-ins are important, right? Because through a check-in, I found out that Amarachi doesn't like potato. Yeah,
I hate potatoes.
Feel free to comment in the chat. Get it. Doesn't like potato. What do you mean? But you know. We don't discriminate. We don't throw shade on someone that doesn't like potato.
That happened 2 years ago, and he still brings it up.
It hurts, man. It still hurts.
Yeah, we don't like people who don't like potatoes.
Wow.
Forget everything I said. No. I just want to add. I think you mentioned something very beautiful, and I think like we all trying to find this place where we don't have to worry about problems, and yeah, just. I know for me, my sister, the time when we started in the Edge Ensembles doing Lily Butterfly in 2018, we were going through a rough time. And so for my sister, she would just rock up to the Edge Ensemble, to the rehearsals, just because she wants to get away from everything else. And so like I've definitely seen firsthand how they're not even coming to be a part of the play, but some people just come just to be out of the play. And it can either be a place where you actually can talk about the things you're going through, or it can just be a place where you actually don't even worry about the things that you're going through. And I think that's a beautiful thing about, especially here at Western Edges. For me, I love going to it because I actually don't think about everything else outside of my head. And at that time, I might be stressing about something, but as soon as I enter the room and we have the rehearsals, so the Footscray and St. Albans, I would attend just so I don't, none of it goes through my head because we're busy talking about other things that are
playing.
Yeah, that are, that relate to the things I like, or talking about someone else's weaknesses because it makes me feel stronger. You tell me, I was like, I'm not good at this. I'm like, I'm good at that. It's like, yeah. And what? But like,
John has weaknesses too. I just want everyone
I realized like I don't have weaknesses. But yeah, that's the great thing about it is it's definitely a peaceful place. And I mentioned before, like, you don't have to be an actor. Sometimes you don't even have to be a part of the show, but you just be a part of those rehearsals just to chat with people. Yeah. This is a crazy part. We had someone in St. Albans. I won't mention the name, but someone walked in St. Albans. He literally, this was his story. He literally walked into, it was a day he was doing nothing, and he walked into the front of the theater. There's a reception, and he just asked him what's on today in the rooms that are happening, and they told him that there's a acting thing going at the back. And he said, all right, done. And he came and joined. And he was mentioning in Chickens like that he was just there to enjoy the vibe, and he did. And that was a crazy story because it was like it's also a place where people get out of their comfort zone. And I've seen a lot of people come out of their comfort zone. And he was just there just to enjoy time. Unfortunately, we don't have him in the show, but like we would love to. But he was just there just to chat with us in the ensembles that we'd have on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I think that's another great thing for people. Sometimes just come there to just have fun and chat. You don't have to be a part of thing, but that's another avenue for people. It's a peaceful place, peaceful spot.
That reminds me of a person who, I won't name names because I haven't got consent from them, but like at Footscray Edge, right? There's a participant who came to Footscray Edge, but then they had to go overseas for quite a while. And our programs at Edge Ensembles goes for 15 weeks. But so they came for the first few, joined in, did their little bits and added to the show, and then had to go overseas for a fair bit. And they came back like kind of the week before production week, right? So those shows kind of already been made. We could have found a role for them in the show if they wanted to, but they were also like, nah. They came back just before production week, and they were in the rooms, and we're like, look, we can try and fit you in, like we can try and make a role for you and stuff. And they're like, nah, the show is what it is and it's beautiful. I just like being here. I just want to be in the room with everyone. I don't even really, care to be in the show. It's not about being on the stage or, being part of the art, if you like, even though they're very much part of the art. It's a space for 2 hours in the week where they can feel safe. They can be whoever they want. They come as they are, and they just hang with people that they enjoy being around, wear their guards down a little bit, and that that story for me like really encapsulates why these rooms are so important and why these rooms are so special. And I know that we're harking on about Western Edge because that's who we are and that's what we know and love. But I'm sure that there are other community theatre programs out there. There are other community art spaces. And I guess the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that there is such an importance for community art and art within the community. Whatever community you're part of, like find it, because it is this space for you to express. It's this space for you to kind of experiment and find yourself if you want to. Like you said, like a space where you can just jump out of your comfort zone in a safe space with, no pressure. It's a space where maybe you find people like yourself. If you are interested in theatre or in acting, it's a place where you can experiment. It's a place where you can try. It's a place where you can fail happily. And then again, it's a place where you tell your story that reflects the society and the community that you live in. And these stories are stories that sometimes just aren't being told. And that's a shame. That's a deep shame. I remember talking in an interview once about the Western suburbs, and there was like there's this notion that Melton is too far away, Wyndham is too far away, and blah blah blah. Where a lot of the theatre scene is happening in Melbourne, in the CBD. Bless you. But hey, like there are people in Melton, there are people in Caroline Springs, there are people all the way out to Geelong and further. And where there are people, there are stories. And the biggest shame is when those stories are hidden and they're not told, or they don't feel like they can be told. To me, that's incredibly sad. And so where there are people, there are stories. And where there are people, there's community. So community theatre, community art is where community can tell stories. And I think that's so incredibly valuable, not just for society to witness and hear those stories and learn, because art pushes the boundaries and makes us look at ourselves and makes us question ourselves and what we do and how we function, and that's how we move forward. That's why the arts are important, government. But also, like, it's we hear these stories for the marginalized communities that don't feel like they've got that voice. Yeah, I had a little dig at the government and then I lost my train of thought. Anyway, there you go. There you go. If you've got any questions, hit up the Facebook and the chat. I think we've got some coming through. But were you going to say something? Yeah, something you want to add?
I was just gonna say, I think community in general is like, community arts also, like, is very important. But community in general is important, and without community, it's like, who are you? Because I remember.
Where are you?
Where are you?
Yeah.
What are you?
How are you?
Like, I just think community in general is very important. Like, after like 2020, 2021, and like being so disconnected from everyone, it, like, you just feel this like massive gap, like, in like, and for the longest time I don't know what it was. I was like, oh yeah, like, I'm doing all these amazing things, but there was like something missing, and it was just the fact that like I didn't have a community of people. And like, it's the reason people like play community sports. It's the reason people go to church. It's the reason people like do like the knitting club, the yak and yarn club, and like, it's people do all of that. It's the reason why people do all of that. It's not just because of what they get out of it. It's the fact, it's not just because of like the material thing they get out of it. It's the joy of being in a space with other people who genuinely want to hear what you have to say.
It's the connection.
Yeah, it's the connection. And like, so without community, it just, like, everything just feels bland.
And lonely.
Yeah, and very lonely. And I think like, having community at the center of everything you do is very important, because if you forget about community, then you've just forgotten about like everyone who's like come up with you. And that's why I'll never forget West Nedge. Like, no matter where I go, like, I could be like 50 up in like London, like.
That's soon though, right? You're turning 50, like.
Yeah, I'm turning 50 tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm turning 50. I could be like 50, like up in like somewhere like really bougie and fancy. But I'll always remember the times I spent here, and like the memories I made here, and the memories I made like within like the Wyndham community, and like within the libraries, and like all of that. Like, all of that is what like is what makes me who I am, and not the like the things that are attached to my name, but just the people who stood beside me during everything. And you never forget that. You never forget
feeling that.
Yeah, you never forget that.
You know, we can remember memories and like happy times and whatnot, but actually what like kind of now lives in our bones is like that feeling of belonging.
Yeah.
And that feeling of community.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Like, till this day, I talk about my New Zealand drama class. Like, I talk about my drama teacher till this day, and I haven't seen her since like 2014. And like, the reason, like, and that's because of like how she made me feel, and like how she made me feel included in the space where I didn't feel like I could actually like belong in. And yeah, like, there's a lot of like power to impact someone's life without even doing like anything. Like, you're just there, and like suddenly someone's like, I feel like I can, like, someone could be like, yeah, I love that time when like where John like swung his sword, and it just made me feel like really cool.
Keep swinging your sword, John. It makes people feel cool.
Yeah, like, someone could remember that in like the next 10 years.
Honestly, though, that moment in the play is pretty awesome. This Saturday, the Bowery, $5
p.m.
ticket, 7 p.m. You got
potatoes. No.
I think we got some questions from Facebook or from the folks online. This one is from Jacques Robinson. What up, Jacques? Which did you enjoy most? The creative development process or performing? And why? Ooh, that's a good one. Why can't we have both, Jacques? Why can't we answer both? Which did you enjoy most? The creative development process or performing? And why? Actually, I've got it. Yeah, I know what my answer is, but you hit us up, John.
Mine's short and sweet. It's the creative. What was it?
The creative development process.
It's the creative development process.
And why?
That's it. Because see, the thing is, what do they say about success? Like, when you're going through life, you got to enjoy the journey, not just the destination when you reach it. You realize that you've reached it because of what you went through your journey. And so, sometimes you're even going to remember the bad times. But like when we perform, like our performance, even the one coming up, when we did our performance, what was our performance? 2 days ago on Saturday past. Like you're saying, the memories just hit back of those times we were, actually producing these ideas and everything, because that was based off of those moments. And so, like, when you hear a point where we hit a joke, that joke was off of something, from those Edge ensembles. And so, like, all of it together in a way, but, like, for me, those moments is always the best because, we attended because of, like, everything we've mentioned. It's a place where we're safe, place out of a comfort zone, place where we like to, express ourselves and enjoy our time with other people, meet other people. And that's, you get more out of that time than you do of one performance. You perform once, but these Edge ensembles, 2 hours every week and a half. And, that's just more time on a show. You perform once and that's it. Everyone say goodbye and gaps it. But, like, those moments were it was always great to see everyone again come that way. Say, hey, I don't like you. I like. It's like, I don't want to see you again. But nah, that it's definitely for me the development part of it, because of that reason. I won't go any further. So that's my answer.
I 100% agree. Creative development all the way. Because you can have the best show ever. You can have, like, the best sellout performance. Like, everything is, like, beautiful. But if the process was bad, then it just completely, for me, it just completely tarnishes the whole show. Like, after the show, I'm just like, finally. But, like, after a show, like, if I've had a great experience leading up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to miss everyone. Like, this was amazing. And you just remember that. And so the creative development, if that's not on point, then, like, everything, like,
yeah, it doesn't even matter if the show is bad, right? Like,
Yeah.
the lead up and was so fun and was so important. Yeah, and, if we think about theaters, like, we spend months rehearsing. So if we're looking at Edge Ensembles, for example, Distortion took 15 weeks to rehearse, to make, to develop, and then it's a 50-minute show, and that's it. It's fleeting. They do it 3 times and then it's done. So the 15 weeks is actually, like, so valuable and so important and so fun. Really is kind of tied to community.
I think from another perspective, because I was gonna say also, like, even the show, because
I'm going to.
Yeah, it's I love the reaction. The reaction's, like, the best thing to see. And, like he mentioned before, I had my family come over. A lot of my relatives and a lot of island community came to watch the show. And it's for most of them, 99.9% of them, that 1%, I don't know who they are. But, like, they haven't seen live theater before. And so their reaction was crazy. And I love to see the smile on their face and how they would talk about a scene that I did or something that, they loved the most in the show. And that was the most greatest thing to do, to see. And the energy of the people, I love hearing the crowd either laughing or, feeling like how they were booing. I love that part. It was actually funny because, like, it just showed they were really into the performance and what was going on. And so that's also great things. And then even afterwards, something Western Edge we do after the show is we get everyone on the stage and to collaborate with all the actors and to dance with each other.
It's a party.
Dance. Yeah, it's a party.
So
and so that's always the best thing. That's always, like, the thing I love as well. So that's another thing that adds to performance for me is also that, like, being able to see the reaction of everyone and just seeing their feedback. It's always the best. And tips to that help out. They could be the most negative thing. I'm like, all right, you're not coming next year. But, like, anyways, that's my...
And this is why, Jacques, I think your question is flawed because I want to say both. I don't want to choose either. I want to say both because the creative development process, which I love, I absolutely love. It's right. You're right. It's where the memories are made. It's where the connections are made. It's where you experiment and you play and you fail and you try again and then you create the story. Like, you create all of it together. In community with this community in the room, right? With what my favorite word is ensemble. And that's why it's called the Edge Ensembles, because they truly become an ensemble, and that's really special. That's definitely the part that I love the most. But then the cherry on top is when you get to share all that work with community. So I guess what we're learning is that community is not just it's not just one element. You know, we've got the community that are in our rooms and that we open our doors to. We've got that sense of community that we love and we create with, and then the wider community that we share and we tell our stories to. That's the cherry on top. So to answer your question, Jacques, I don't know.
We don't know.
Let's see. Do we have another?
Thanks for the question, though. That was a good question.
Yeah, it was a very good question. No, it looks like that's the only question. Anything else? Does anyone want to say? Actually, I would like to say something. We've talked quite a lot about Western Edge and our rooms and why it's important, and why we think Western Edge is important for community. We also talked a lot about kind of our experiences as people of color. And performers of color within the industry and also within society, but why these rooms are so important for us. But I want to just highlight that our rooms are for everybody. It's not like, Western Edge is not, we don't close our doors unless you're, black or brown or whatever. Like our rooms are for everyone, and everyone comes and they come as they are, and we feel that same thing. Like I'm hoping that everyone in our rooms feel that guard drop, feel that sense of belonging, that sense of community, because our community or our rooms reflect the community, and the community is not just people like us, it's people like everyone. So yeah, we hope that everyone in our rooms feel welcome, and we hope that you feel welcome if you or when you come into our rooms as well, or come to our shows. I just wanted to throw that out there, because it's like, we kind of got into that and we talked about what it means for us, and that all we can talk about is our experiences, but we also remember and highlight that everyone has different experiences and that everyone is welcome. Anything else?
No, like, come and have fun.
That's it.
Like, that's for me. Like, come and have fun. I mean, I think for some, if they hear that, it's like, oh, yo, I'm in. Come and have fun.
It's for free.
It's for free. I didn't pay anything.
Come
to the show
and eat food.
That's another thing we do.
Food is very important in community.
That's another thing that we do. We use that to, we break bread with each other. All our rooms have food when we start, because it's communal. Food is communal, and we share food together. And that's the great equalizer, as some would say.
We even learn what, like, a lot of people like shibo. Did you kind of learn something with the food as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that most people love potato. Like most people, like the 99.9% love potato.
Can everyone just cancel John Marc now? Thank you.
See, he was saying, like, come as you are, but we're now putting in the thing where, like,
a little disclaimer.
If you don't like potato, you're not welcome.
So he said everyone should come into our rooms. He means everyone, unless you don't like potatoes.
And what we mean is everyone come into our rooms with potatoes. That's what we mean.
See, when I was asking him about the food, what I mean was, like, at first he was buying these sandwiches.
Oh, yeah. My guy.
But then he suddenly changed because he realized, so he didn't bought pizza, and he's like, barely anyone was eating the sandwiches. We were eating it it was like force feed. It was like, oh, it's nice.
Okay. Well, let's reflect on this. And truly, like, this is the mistake. Is it a mistake? I think it's a big discussion that we've got to have. Is like, so Western Edge caters for these events, especially when they're big day rehearsals. We cater for them. We get sandwiches. We get whatever. We go to Coles. We buy a whole bunch of stuff or whatever. we also support the local restaurants and whatnot. So we'll get some Persian food from Salamati, or we'll get some Malaysian food from Hawker Lane. Like we do go out to cater for our participants and for what we call our Western Edge family. Now, last rehearsals, we had 3 days of rehearsals leading up to our first show in Wyndham. And the first day we had a whole bunch of sandwiches. Now, don't get me wrong, I love sandwiches. Little triangles, little egg sandwiches, little cucumber ones.
I like them too.
Yeah, they're good, right?
They're great.
And the little triangles. We had that. And the next day, we had like little pita wraps, right? And they were pretty good too. Probably too much pita in the ratio. And then the third day, we had more sandwiches. Don't be wrong, I love sandwiches, and I was excited for the sandwiches. And we brought them, and I just thought everyone would, be like, "Oh, thank you so much, John Marc, for bringing us food. We didn't pay for. You didn't have to, but thanks for bringing us this food." And I brought these sandwiches down, and as soon as I put these sandwiches down, everyone left. Right? These guys, him and his cousins, and his little crew. They go to Hungry Jack's and get what looked like about $200 worth of Hungry Jack's. Then another little crew of people from Wyndham, they went out and got pizzas, right? The sandwiches weren't touched. And what I learned was you need to understand the community that you're working in. Right? I think that when this comes to making art, this is my advice for all you art makers out there, is that understand the community that you're working in and the people that you're working with, right? So yeah, sandwiches are fine. But actually, when you listen to them, sandwiches aren't what they want. I think there's a part of me that when I go out and order sandwiches or pieces of fruit and all this sort of business, there's a little bit of me that's like that little savior complex where I'm like, oh yeah, but then I can give them something that nourishes them, something that's going to give them energy and like it's a bit healthy. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about health and well-being. Yeah. But hey, this community feels like, and you see them together, this community just comes together over food. Food is so important. So when they break bread, and when I say break bread, I mean break Whoppers and break bacon double cheeseburger deluxes and Happy Meals, or it's pizza. They come together so much more. The sandwiches were actually quite jarring. And that's something that we've learned. We don't get it perfect. But food really is at the heart of it, it's huge when it comes to community. Yeah, it's culture. Yeah.
My mom, I feel like this is in a lot of cultures. If you come to my house, if you go to my parents' house, and my mom has cooked for you and you don't touch it, she will feel like you have disrespected her. She will feel like you killed her own child. She will be like, "Wow, I made this food for you because I love you, and you don't even touch it." So when she goes to places and people don't present food nicely, she's like, "Oh, it's because you don't like me. You hate me." So it's this huge thing in communities.
And it's quite personal, right? Your mum does it that way. My mum's love language is food, is providing food. So when people come in the house, always first question is, have you eaten? And we'll bring out spring rolls, and we'll bring out fried chicken, we'll bring out all these, well, I guess there's no fruit, but it is these food. And even if you're like, no, sorry, I've eaten, I'm like, okay, but are you hungry? Would you like some? And we'll continue to bring out food because that's how she expresses love. And I think that's what I've learned, that I do a similar thing. I take people out for food. I love food so much.
I just want to add that day where we bought Hungry Jack's, right?
It was $200 worth.
Probably say, but John Marc, we were grateful for the sandwiches.
I didn't act like it.
But see, we were trying to teach that lesson you learned.
Learning.
We didn't want the Hungry Jacks. I knew we would have a podcast, and I was like, nah, we have to teach them this lesson so you can share it to the world.
And they sat there while they were eating their Hungry Jacks, and they looked at me in the eye. Right? They looked straight up at me and they were like, "This is for you. We're doing this for you." They didn't even like it.
If you look carefully, someone in back was like, "Action." We're acting. we pretend, bite, and swallow, but we had to spit it out later. But it's all pretend, all lesson, Yes, we wanted the sandwich, but we just need to
threw the sandwiches out. I didn't throw the sandwiches out.
Think about the food, And so the Saturday pass, he got pizzas demolished. He got these snacks demolished. So it's really
and then at Footscray I got fish and chips. Demolished.
chips. And like I got there late, and I got there and I was full. And they said, "Do you want something?" I'm like, "No, I'm full." But see, I was thinking he brought sandwiches. So then he said, "Oh, there's fish." I look at, I'm hungry. And then I went and got fish and stuff, and I was full on eating. I was like, I spoke with my fellow friends who we bought Hungry Jacks together to teach the lesson, and I was like, we really did our job, you know. Good job, boys. Good job. All right, good job, guys. Great job. And so yeah, we are. I'm just want to say I'm very happy you've learned that particular specific lesson.
Thank you, John. I'm glad you taught me. I have learned so much from you. You are so wise. Ipso facto, what we're trying to say is community, art in the community. One is really important. Two, feed them. Like, go out, learn about your community. Continue to make art in the community. Like, go and listen to those stories. Support the community theatres and the arts programs. Support them because they're telling stories that haven't been seen in their own way. And that's also an opportunity for young people, or, you know, not even young people, but people who want to try things. Like, and I think the greatest thing that you can do is just let them know that you support them. So, you know, go out and see it. And I guess the best opportunity for you to do that is this Saturday at the Bowery at 7 p.m. Tickets are $5. Come watch this guy in Distortion. I'll be there, and we will have a party, and you can come up on stage and you can dance with us and celebrate. Like, it's the closing night of Distortions. It's the last chance. So let's go out with a bang. Yeah. Anything else?
No, just no
pretty
sandwiches.
Good. No sandwiches. No. All right, I won't get them sandwiches. Thank you so much for sticking around, for listening to us chat. I definitely learnt a lot about food, but I definitely learnt a lot about these two, and I enjoy these conversations. I hope you did too.
100%.
Good. I hope you did as well. There'll be more of these, but otherwise, you know, come be part of the family. Come see us. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to the tech crew. Thank you to everyone at the staff at Western Edge for making this happen, because also they are providing spaces for us to talk and give our opinions, and to people like us, that's incredibly valuable. So thank you. Have a lovely night. Go eat some potato.
Don't.
All of it. Mash, hash browns, all of the
And on that
gems.
note, good night, folks.
Potato dauphinoise.
Good
potato
night.
rosti.
The live stream is ending now.